recent days, the talk of the town of Gilbert has been sky-high water bills. We heard from one woman who received a bill in September that neared $2,700, but for hundreds more, their bill has gone up $100, $200, in some cases $300 a month or more. And because of that, today we took your questions directly to the town of Gilbert's Public Works Director, Jessica Marlowe, and the town's Water Conservation Coordinator, Jeremiah Churchill. So where I want to start is just tell me what you guys have both been hearing from the community over the last week, specifically the last couple of days. What are some of the types of calls you all are getting or emails?
Yeah, we are getting concerned residents about their increased utility bills, increased water consumption, challenges with accessing our new utility billing portal that launched in June particularly.
And what is your response? What are you telling people to look out for or pay attention to as to what could explain the increases they're seeing?
So our rates did increase in April, and so the average resident would see an increase of $30 on their sewer bill and $10 to $12 on their water bill for about an 8,000 gallon consumption. So their bill just on average is going to go up by at least $40 if they're using less water, and that's something that was planned and adopted by our council earlier this year. When we see people that have higher water consumption, first we encourage them, like, reach out. You know, we are dedicated to making sure that we can investigate any challenges they have with their bill, but they need to reach out to us to start that process. So when we see things on social media, it's really hard for us to reach out and say, hey, come, tell us, because we don't know the circumstances around it. But our water conservation team is able to work with residents on water and efficiency checkups, and Jeremiah can talk a little bit more about that.
So a little different perspective of what we hear. Customers are usually calling us because they have a high water bill. That's not always high consumption. A lot of people with the new rate increases just are still not aware of it. So we talk them through their bill. If we do see that it's higher consumption than their normal patterns, we would recommend that they schedule a water efficiency checkup so one of our trained specialists can come out there. We also recommend our resources online, because we basically have videos on how to find and fix a leak, reading your meter, all of that, which are very short, easy to follow, and helps people find and fix the problem themselves.
I want to pinpoint what a reasonable jump in price or amount they owe should look like based off the April increase of 25% this year and 50% increase of last year. What does that typically average out to for the average Gilbert homeowner, would you say?
So I can use myself as an example. I live here in Gilbert. When I moved here in 2017, my water bill was $80 to $90 a month. My utility bill was $80 to $90 a month. And my bills now the last few months have been around $175. So I would say, and I use 10 to 12,000 gallons of water a month. So a little higher than average, but it's pretty normal, I think. So, my bill has doubled in the last 8 years since I've lived here.
Okay.
So that would be, but the more water you use, the more your bill is going to go up as well, because of how our rates are structured.
Okay. What would you say to the person who is seeing on their water bill in either July, August, or September, the 3 months of the bills I've reviewed that I've seen the spikes? They typically use 10 to 15,000 gallons like yourself a month. They're seeing 30 to 40 to 50,000 gallons of water used in those months, or specifically in September sometimes they're seeing this spike they can't explain. How would you all explain that to them?
We have over 700 checkups we do a year. It'll probably be closer to 800 this year, and that is so common. People, they normally are doing 20 to 30,000, and all of a sudden it bumped up to 50. With these new AMI meters, we're able to run reports, see their hourly water consumption data, and pinpoint whether it is a continuous consumption leak or is it every day at 8 a.m. you're using 3,000 gallons of water. And that could be a stuck-on irrigation valve. That could be a landscaper who's not trained in water management. They don't know proper watering techniques to water efficiently, because we commonly see people who are overwatering 2 to 5 times more than what is recommended. So that's part of it right there.
What would you say to the person who says, I've done nothing different? I've heard that time and time again.
I would ask, who's your landscaper? Do you manage it yourself? Because again, we have landscape, and Our staff are trained with Smartscape, Advanced Smartscape. We have people on our staff who are CLIA certified landscape irrigation auditor. A lot of the people who are touching controllers out there, they may be putting duplicate schedules in, so they're running it twice as much as common, or needed. We would recommend trying to get a checkup. Let us investigate what's going on, because there's a lot of things that could add up to that consumption, like a stuck-on valve, full autofill valve, RO systems, water softener, intermediate running toilets. There's so many things that can contribute to it, where a homeowner might not even know.
Okay, understood. Let's talk about Ms. Stipp's situation. This is kind of, I think, what started this conversation and made other people take a look closer at their own bill.
Absolutely.
Give me sort of a chronological events, if you will, of how her situation has evolved and what you guys have done to remedy her situation.
Sure. So what we found was that Ms. Stipp came to the town on Monday to report that she thought she had a problem with her meter. We saw then the news story that ran on Monday evening. Tuesday, first thing, we reached out to our water conservation team. We sent a meter technician out to her home and were able to do our investigation. What we found was that the water meter that we had installed at her property in August came calibrated from the vendor reading incorrectly. So it was adding a 0 onto her usage. So for every gallon that was being recorded, it was saying she was using 10 gallons. So that's why the bill, instead of being 20,000 gallons of water, it was 200,000 gallons of water. That was something that we immediately then replaced the meter, made sure it was calibrated appropriately and working properly. The team did the water audit, found a small irrigation leak. We were able to correct her bill and solve that problem. That is definitely a one-off situation. The meters that we install are calibrated, and we typically will check that calibration before any bills would go out. We also, because of the transition to the new billing system, it didn't flag as a high consumption, which we also typically would catch and correct before the bill went out. So there were a couple of factors that led to that bill going to the customer that it really wouldn't have under other circumstances. There were just a few extenuating circumstances, I'll say, and I can certainly understand how shocking that would be to see that come through. So, but that is absolutely not the norm. And if anybody sees something, sees anything on their bill, please reach out to us, because we go through a process and we were able to address and fix that problem and correct it in a day.
So with her getting a new meter yesterday,
Yeah.
what is her bill going to be for October? October 13th is when it was due. Do you know how she's being helped in that way to get her an accurate amount she should owe?
So the bill would have been corrected to just be billed based on what her kind of average usage over the last few months would be, and then the actual usage on the meter going forward. So,
with those meters, hers was replaced in August.
yes.
With the new billing system, is everyone having to get new meters, or how is that working?
No, so the billing system is kind of a separate situation. We've been rolling out and installing this AMI, automated metering infrastructure meters and technology since 2020. There are over 50,000 of them in the system right now. And really it's not related to the billing system itself. The billing system, our prior billing software system, was reaching the end of its supportable life from the vendor, and it needed to be replaced. So we went through that process, selected a new vendor, and then made that transition. The AMI is a different technology that we're using for reading our water meters that allows us to collect a lot more data on the usage for the residents that will help them be more mindful of their consumption, help our water conservation team identify challenges that they have, including continuous consumption and identifying leaks, quickly. But that transition for that technology has been underway for the last 5 years. And it was a coincidence that her meter change out and the billing software transition happened at the same time. Not everybody got a new meter, and a lot of people already have the new meters, and it wasn't related at all.
Okay. And you guys can say with I hesitate to use the word certainty, but
Yeah.
at least what you guys have found to this point,
Yes.
that there is not a problem with new meters and new billing system. They're working the way they should be?
Yes, they are. And we went through substantial testing prior to launching the billing system to make sure that the new system was accurately generating bills. And we were duplicating it in our old system to our new system to make sure that they were matching up before we launched the new system and the new portal.
Okay. Let's talk infrastructure for a moment. There's been previous reporting that the reason people's rates are having to go up is because infrastructure has to be replaced. Maybe there was a 3 to 5 year period where that went unaddressed with the previous council. That's at least the reporting I've read. Is it possible that hundreds, if not thousands of people may have leaks because of bad infrastructure in the town of Gilbert? Is that possible?
So the infrastructure that the town is replacing is out in the roadways and on our property. The infrastructure that would cause a resident to have a leak is on their own private property. It's their service lines, it's their irrigation system. So our condition of our infrastructure that the town owns would not be contributing to residents having leaks on their property or having higher bills.
Okay, so that wouldn't have anything to do with the meter that the town may supply them?
Correct. No, it would not. Yeah.
Again, I'm going to go back to something I asked before we were rolling. I think there's going to be a lot of people who see this, especially with some of the conservation stuff, that people use more water in the summer even though they don't feel they do, and they're going to feel gaslit, as I mentioned. What would be your response to those people who aren't buying what you're selling on this topic?
I would say really just we are absolutely committed to working through any concerns they may have on their bill. The first thing they need to do is reach out to us so we can start our process. And more times than not, they are able to identify a overwatering or a leak or a problem. And I think that people maybe are just paying closer attention now because the rates have gone up. And so there's a lot more of that feedback that we're getting from the residents.
Yeah, a great example of that was today we did a checkup. It was a larger property and they were using over 100,000 gallons a month, and they had a landscaper there for 3 years, same landscaper, and the homeowner within about 10 minutes said, I've learned more from you all within 10 minutes than I've learned from my landscaper in 3 years. Part of what we're doing is educating our customers. People don't understand like how to take a flow rate. They might think they run their irrigation 10 minutes every day, but how much water are you using during that 10 minutes? Do you have active leaks when that irrigation system is being used? So there's a lot of opportunities for them to use our resources that are online and try to self-identify some of these problems, really calculate how much water you're using and compare that to what you used last year. I always ask the customer, do you know how much water you used last year in June at your property compared to this year? And most of the time, those customers have no idea. So it's really educating the customers, informing them of our resources, and providing them those opportunities if they need help to schedule a checkup with us.
Are you finding people that have unexplained, at least to them, unexplained spikes in single months? Because I've reviewed graphs of people's usages on their bill, and there may be small incremental increases from June or July, a summer month where it's 100 plus degrees. But then they have a September that is just way above what they've ever used. Are people coming to you with those graphs and presenting them to you, wanting an explanation?
We commonly see where they'll have a 1 month spike.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of factors that could be contributing to that. RO systems, water softeners, intermittent running toilets that they don't always hear. There's a lot of little things that can contribute to that. And again, by just providing them information and them checking, majority of the time, there is a problem that is contributing to that high water usage.
And one of the benefits of the AMI system is that we have a very granular detail of the water consumption that we can pull for that, and it can show a pattern of a continuous consumption or something that looks like an irrigation leak or an irrigation valve that got stuck open, that sometimes those actually do fix themselves, and so the next month that issue will be gone. So, but that's one of the benefits of the AMI program, is having that data available to us, and ultimately having that data available directly to the customers once the system implementation is complete.
Just one quick sort of logistical question. You likely are having in the last several days more people reaching out. Hey, can you come to my house? Can you check things? Can you make sure everything's fine and copacetic? Do you guys have enough staff to meet everyone in a week?
No, we do about 7, probably this year it might be closer to 800 checkups in the year. But the one thing we do have time for is for a conversation on a phone. I talk a lot of people out of a checkup by just going over their water history, their patterns, and if they have the AMI meter, I can pull up those reports, send it to them so they can see it, and then they see every day at this time something's going on, and they can pinpoint why that's happening. So for the checkups, we're limited, but for phone conversations, we have a lot of capacity to help people.
Okay. 2 more. Do you think people will expect their bills to go down as we get into the fall months, the winter months, where the temperatures will drop? Is that something people should expect?
If they're not overseeding. So if they're overseeding, they're going to have high water bills.
Explain what that is for people who
So
aren't aware.
we're lucky here in Arizona where we can have grass all year round. We don't really recommend it, but if you are going to overseed, that winter rye, which would be starting right about this time frame, they're going to be using a lot of water to germinate those seeds. And what we see a lot of the times is they don't cut back on that watering. So really, it only needs to happen that first 7 to 14 days where you're watering maybe 5 times a day, short periods, and people just maybe take an extra 1 month, 2 months before they adjust their controller to once every 10 days what it should be.
Gotcha. Just an economy question, because I think why this is, anytime you raise people and make them pay more, raise rates, people get, it strikes a chord with people because it's not easy out there right now for a lot of folks. We had several callers last night who are in their 80s, and they say, I am on a fixed income. I cannot afford for my bill to go up $100, $200, $300 a month. What would you say to folks who are struggling with these increases, who want to stay in Gilbert?
Yeah, absolutely. So our council did approve a utility bill assistance program for people that qualify based on certain income levels. And so we do have that resource available that allows for a discount on the bill when they do meet those criteria. And additionally, you know, we did see people that maybe couldn't access our utility billing portal right away. And so they have several months of bills that have rolled over because that they haven't paid. And so we are not disconnecting anyone for not paying, and if they need help in, you know, setting up a plan to be able to make that up, just please call us and we can work with you on that as well.
And as a conservation aspect, we do offer rebates for grass removal. You know, there's a lot of homeowners out there who just aren't using their grass anymore. Yeah. And some low water use desert adapted plants only need minimal water throughout the year. So we do have rebates to help.
Are you both able to answer for me what the hope is with getting more money from folks? I mean, you were raising rates 75% over the last 2 years. Mm-hmm. Are there achievable goals that the town would like to hit to make things more sustainable for folks?
So the reason for the rate increases, at least on the water side, are all around water resiliency and sustainability. We are reconstructing our largest water treatment plant for a variety of reasons, including construction quality, water quality, new regulations, damage to the watershed that's changed the character of the water that we're seeing. We also, because of shortages that are coming on the Colorado River, have a well drilling program that will allow us to access stored groundwater that we've been putting in the ground for decades, all in the name of making sure that we can always provide clean, safe, reliable drinking water service to the community. And that is what the vast majority of the water rate increases are going to, as well as sustainable infrastructure repair and maintenance. We have to make sure that we have resources available to us to maintain, repair, and replace the infrastructure as it ages out so that we can make sure that we can provide those reliable services as well. That's literally why we're here, is to provide those services to the community, and so that's really our focus.
Anything else you think is important to add that I did not ask, that you all may be hearing from folks? Question they have that I didn't ask? Anything like that?
I can't think of anything right now.
I still just want to ask one more thing, because I think this is a question I'm going to get from viewers. We talk about a 75% rate increase and summer fluctuations, using more water unknowingly. I still, in my head, can't get to $200, $300 increases in a given month. I can't reason with that in myself. Mm-hmm. How do you both reason with those types of increases? We're talking about people well, I've been contacted, who've contacted me. They have an average bill of $150 a month. This month it's $500.
Yeah.
That to me, common sense speaks to that's beyond a 75% increase, and that's beyond excess usage because it's summertime and it's hot.
If
How do you guys view that?
Yeah, if somebody used to have a $150 bill and then it's a $500 bill, there is a small portion of that that's obviously attributed to the rates. And other than that, they are using more water somewhere, and they need to reach out to us so that we can help them figure that out. Because nobody's water portion of their bill should go up by 25% no matter how much water they're using. So $400 water bill becomes a $500 water bill. That's 25%. It was 25% across the board. So if somebody saw a water bill increase that much, they are using more water and they need to reach out to us, and we can help them. Yes, they have a leak, or or something got changed, unknowingly in an irrigation system. Something is happening, because it would not go up that much just because of the rate increases.